Well, good day, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of WTF Walk the Floors. I'm Stephanie Ledger with First Rate Hospitality, and I have my co host here, Michele Kline with Kline Hospitality. Hi, Michele. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Stephanie?
Very well. It's crazy that we're almost to the end of our first year on all of our episodes, but we have a fun one for today. What are we speaking about?
All right, so today's going to be a really spicy one, and I'm going to tell you why it's spicy. It's spicy because both you and I have been on both sides of the spectrum. So we have been able to collect a lot of data when it comes to this particular topic. And the topic for today is vendors. Just that, one word, vendors, right? So we're going to talk about what it is that you should and should not be doing when you're a vendor if you're hoping you can bridge that gap between you and your customer. Your customer being your hotel, your resort, your restaurant, your bar, your pool, whatever that is in the hospitality industry on the other side that provides the service that you are providing solutions for. How about that?
Absolutely. Yes, love it. And I get it. It's so, when it comes to the sales that you want to ABC always be closing, but there's a way that I think goes further along in the hospitality industry to get GMs to actually listen and understand your product or service. And then there's ways that you're basically just setting yourself up for a disaster, depending of how you go in and trying to sell your product or service.
Yes, absolutely. So, how about we share some WTF moments and then some other moments that are truly memorable that allowed us as hoteliers to take that vendor with us and keep them close to our heart forever and always make space for them in our budget. So, do
Like
you have
us.
any stories that come to mind? If you need a minute, I can tell you mine.
Well, I would definitely have to say my WTF moment is when I was working at the front desk, and here we would have these vendors that would come in and just say automatically that they needed to contact so and so, who would be our hotel manager. And so our protocol was also too is that we would ask information, but we also too kept everything very private when asking information, because we didn't know that they could have actually had a meeting already set up or already had a connection and a relationship with them. So we would always be like, okay, allow me to see if I can get that person. And so then didn't ask anything. And so here the GM was expecting a person, a meeting at that time, thought it was him. Ends up that it wasn't him, and it was actually just a vendor that happened to get lucky on having a conversation with our general manager, and of course came back and realized, or came to me and then said that he just had to listen 30 minutes about a floor cleaner for housekeeping. And I felt so bad because I didn't ask of who he was, and there was a little bit of a mix up. But anyone else after that, it was like, oh no, if you don't, your name confirming of who it is, to making sure that that didn't happen again. But also too of, most of the time these vendors do come straight to the front desk without an appointment. They come right at noon thinking it's lunchtime, of like, oh, this is a great time to being able to reach out to that person. Yet lunchtime is like checkout time, that, we're rocking and rolling with our operations and trying to turn the house. Like, this is the worst time I think that you could possibly show up, and just out of the blue and thinking that you can speak to an executive.
How about the following? When the vendor gets to the front desk and announce with no appointment, or announce and with appointment, but the front desk agent has no idea who that person is,
Yeah.
right? May I
Mhm.
speak with, or I'm here to see such and such. And they're
Mhm.
like, who is that person?
Yeah.
Your general manager,
Yeah.
your director of hotel operations. Oh, yeah. Or they have to go and ask another team member.
Yeah.
That's the best. So
Yeah.
when you have new team members on the floor, make sure that they know who is who, right? A picture
Yeah.
goes a long way with their name and last name, and perhaps how to pronounce it
Yep.
also helps.
Yep. And
So
business cards, having those business cards too,
true,
because this
yes.
is a way that you're having a long line of 30 people could be deep. And now here he's going to ask you, oh, can you write down the email contact information? And now you're having to write all of that out where you could just be like, if you need any assistance, here is the business card. It could be not even the GM, it could be even the executive assistant, a way to be able to filter things out. So now they're not being bombarded. But having those business cards at the front desk to easily be able to pass out.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you actually clarified that you give somebody below the lower in command their information, or every single general manager would have been like, delete, delete, delete this episode. That's not a good idea. So I'm going to tell you my one of my WTF moments. It's New Year's Eve, and I am at a very large gaming property in a city where nothing really happens on New Year's Eve but going to that gaming property,
Yep.
right? So there's a few properties in a row, and you get to go there, and that's the party. And it gets crazy, and it's extremely, extremely, extremely busy. People celebrate out on the street, and the minute that midnight strikes, they all go inside of the properties. And it's like a sea of heads, to the point that I would have to schedule supervisors in sections, because there was no way to go from section to section to section to drop something off or whatever. So I had a vendor who would provide me with the necessary tools to clean up biohazards. So I would purchase the kits already made. And for New Year's Eve specifically, there was a specific amount of biohazard cleanup kits assigned in every single corner you can think of. Because again, you can't go from point A to point B. You're stuck at point A the entire night until 3, 4 in the morning, where people start. Well, let me tell you that I never did business with that vendor ever again in any of the properties that I worked with from there on out. The order never made it. Not only the order never made it on time, we had to go to this other nearby city to get all the tools that we needed, put kits together because we couldn't find the kits already made, and make sure that we were ready for the time that we had to be ready. But not only they failed to ship on time, they couldn't even find record of the order. So
Oh
the
my
order was
god.
never really placed. And obviously I had record of the order that had been placed. They had actually processed payment. It was bad. It was so
Wow.
bad. Never again. You can imagine the stress that you go through when you're facing one of the largest, highest revenue generating weekends, and packed with guests and different patrons on the gaming floor. And now you don't have what you need. So needless to
Mhm.
say, that never ever happened again, because I never used that vendor ever again.
Oh man, what a story. But yeah, I
What
really
a
think also too of how you were able to go to another city, work with someone else that I'm sure that you just had kind of a a basic relationship with them, but it really was able to go a long way in helping you out in a bind. And so I know sometimes that we really talk, about like the vendors, but I really think also too is, those ones that you have that relationship with, that that if you're in a bind, you really can count on them, and that's just building the relationship with their product and service, but then also too for your property, whether it be on the employee side or on the guest side, to really making sure that you're getting the job done.
Absolutely. So here's another tip for vendors. If you are selling a specific product or service, allow the property team to use it, to test it,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
If you're in housekeeping and it's a chemical or a piece of equipment, bring it on property. Show them how to use it. You're not only providing them with training, but you're also selling it by showing them how great it works. If you are in an organization that provides specific materials or inventory for the engineering or the maintenance departments, have a few things here and there in stock that you can drop by when you are in the area, so that they have a little bit of extra or something new that just came in the market, that perhaps they're not looking at the catalog, and they're simply just ordering month over month the exact same thing. So not be so fast at trying to sell the product, but also allowing the team members to truly test the product or the service, and be the advocates for it, right? I think
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
a good tip right there, how the team can actually advocate for something specific that is new on the market.
Yeah. And also too of being very mindful of the timing when you are talking to the hotel's team, whether it be the leadership or even in the, say housekeeping department, you're able to showcase during one of their pre-shifts. But, really making sure that you're going in there and saying, okay, I'm going to be here for say 20-25 minutes, and then if they are continuing on the conversation, then that's great. But if not, you know what, I'm being mindful of their time and not spending 2 hours walking around the property and talking about all the things that you could be able to do to enhance, and they're just trying to be nice because maybe it's a big brand that has that corporate relationship, that they have to go through it, but you're not being mindful of their time, that they're short staffed, there's trying to figure out how to turn the house, or they have upset guests that they needing to get to, or even other vendors, for other departments that they need to making sure that they're having that talk and time for as well. So always making sure that you're being mindful of the time.
And for those operators out there that are allowing the vendor to come in and showcase their product or explain what the service looks like, and so on, and kind of participate in the operation, it's also absolutely valid for you to, as the vendor comes in, say, look, we have 30 minutes, or we have 15
Hmm.
minutes, or we have 20 minutes. It's absolutely valid to remind them as the time goes by, 5 minutes, and then we're done. Because then you are providing them with an opportunity to become very efficient with that time and get their point across, cut through the chase, and make sure that the experience is good for both team members and the vendor that is trying to showcase that product or service.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this was been fun. Anything else tip wise for our vendors? We love you.
I love you, vendors. We are vendors too. Think
I
about
know.
that. We continuously call ourselves hoteliers, which is totally true. Now, here's the thing, Stephanie, two things I would say. Number one is make yourself part of the team. If there is any
Mhm.
way that you can make yourself part of the team, and I think that both you and I, Stephanie, are on the same page when it comes to how we make ourselves so part of the team and we wear that uniform with pride, is the fact that we don't consider ourselves vendors, right?
Mhm.
So we consider ourselves part of the brand. So make yourself part of the team. And then on the other hand, I would say, um, oh, I lost my train of thought. It was make yourself part of the team. And what was the other thing?
Well, I would also too say, it's just not all about like at the hotel. You especially, if you're involved in the different associations and organizations, making sure also too that you're just saying a quick hello. You're not giving them the elevator pitch of, talking to them for 30 minutes all about your product while they're here at these events. But you'll start seeing them, especially, we're coming into our season and we have a lot of events that are up and coming. But you'll start seeing them, and even that builds the relationship 10 times better than you always just dropping in at the hotel.
Yes, thank you for filling the gap there. See, this is completely raw. We don't edit anything. I completely spaced out and lost my train of thought. My next point was going to be hire an expert. If you are not an expert in the industry, if you don't understand the ins and outs, if it's hard for you to comprehend the lingo, if you have a difficult time connecting with the operator, hire an expert in the field, someone who can help you through the process, who can teach you the language, who can advocate for your product or service, because they know and understand what solution you're bringing to the table. What is the problem that you're solving? So hire an expert and be part of the team. There you go. I made it.
Yeah.
I did it.
And I think that's a great advice because we're starting to see there's so many other like technology products that are coming out, and they're great of talking about their product and the technology. But when they're talking to, say, a hotel professional and trying to talk the hotel lingo, they don't know it because they haven't really been in that environment, to understanding, what to say to a GM to really, get in for that sale, even though your product is amazing and will really benefit. But I think, to your point, yes, making sure that you're hiring a professional to be able to assist you in that industry.
Yes, 100%. Well, this was great. Hopefully our audience can remember these tips as opposed to my lack of brain power for the day. Memorable as always, and we hope to see you all soon. Thank you, Stephanie.
Absolutely. Thank you.